when it got announced, it was a huge thing that was like trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry. And so it was like
Those people.
very much this, yes, it was
The
this
people that we
awakening
need
of,
to educate, the people that we need to love into awareness.
love them in the right direction.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America, welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hello and welcome to another episode of This Week in DUMBmocracy, a show that looks at political buffoonery happening during the week involving some of the biggest newsmakers. So for today's episode, we're taking a break from Washington and, the People's Republic of New York City and pretty much all of government to look at some cultural concerns, specifically Hollywood, and specific to that, Disney. Disney has proven in the past couple of projects that everything that they have been touching has been turning to crap. Look at what's been going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's been a steep downturn in the popularity of that. The Star Wars franchise's complaints about The Mandalorian. Look what happened with Indiana Jones and the latest bomb there. Last I checked, The Little Mermaid is just about breaking even. And now Disney is starting production of their own politically correct Snow White movie. Another live-action movie that I don't even know why we need this. This is, of course, the live-action version of the 1937 classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think Disney's intent upon wrecking everyone's memories, everyone's childhood. There are a bunch of activists at Disney now, and they just don't care. We're going to get into what's going on with this latest controversy with Snow White. But first, of course, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. We just reached 1,000 subscribers and we'll keep moving forward, guys. We're going to be doing a lot of exciting projects. We're going to do some live shows. We're going to bring some guests on. It's going to be a lot of fun in the next coming weeks and months. So please tune in. But let's get into this story right now. So, as you see, article from Fox News. Disney backtracks claim that photo of new politically correct Snow White movie were fake. Now, this has been a controversy that's been brewing for a while. First controversy, as you saw from the video that sort of opened up this whole episode, is the casting of a person with olive skin as Snow White. Now, this may not be a big deal to a lot of people, and I totally get that. But if you know the tale of Snow White, you know that her appearance is sort of the reason why she has the name Snow White. Skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, hair as black as ebony. That's the description from the Brothers Grimm tale from 1812. So, and that's also the Snow White that we always saw in every sort of presentation from Disney. This is part of our culture. It's part of the American fabric of this sort of what we all grew up with, right? So to see someone like Rachel Zegler, who I'm sure is a fine human being, a fine actress, more than capable of handling the role, I'm sure she's going to be fine in it, but it's not exactly Snow White now, is it? But that's not even the real controversy. The real controversy recently are the photos that came off from the first look at you can't even call them the Seven Dwarfs anymore. Disney backtracked on its claim that photos showing Snow White's new accomplices, previously called the Seven Dwarfs, were quote-unquote fake in what a news outlet said was a misunderstanding on its correction notice. So the Daily Mail published a story last Friday showing an inside look into Disney's live-action production of Snow White. The outlet accused Disney of adapting the film's iconic characters into, quote, magical creatures in order to be politically correct. So let's show you what we're talking about here. So this is a photo from that first look from the Daily Mail. There's Rachel Zegler as Snow White. Again, reasonable people can disagree on this. It's not a radical departure from Snow White. Fine. Like I said, I'm sure she's a capable actress. She can handle the role. But here we go. So what do we have here? We have the magical companions for Snow White in this live action adaptation. As you can see, it is diverse as all get out, of course, because that's what Disney does now. Everybody's a strong, independent woman now in Disney. There are no main characters that are true to what they were in let's say the comics from Marvel, or whatever the case may be. Uh, yeah, that's what you got there. Let's see if we can get a little closer look. There you go. There's the seven companions. I think there's at least one woman there. There is one little person, so you're getting one. But yeah, this is not exactly sleepy, bashful, dopey, happy, grumpy, Doc, and sneezy. Yeah, I think I got them all. Look at that. I didn't even rehearse that. This isn't exactly what we grew up with, right? Now, the reason why this isn't what we grew up with is because there was a controversy that goes as far back as January of last year, talking about the backwoods nature of making Snow White, and the complaint came mainly from Peter Dinklage. He was making comments about how a live action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs made no sense to him. Of course, we all know Peter Dinklage, the very fine actor from Game of Thrones. He was in Avengers: Infinity War, in a lot of high value products that you see out there. Very accomplished actor, tremendous at what he does. But he didn't hold back with his thoughts about Disney's live action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs remake. When it was announced that Rachel Ziegler would lead the cast here, he sort of went off on why this would even be necessary. Speaking about the film on Mark Maron's WTF podcast, Dinklage expressed his frustration with the Disney remake. His concern was how some fans have been praising Disney's decision to cast a Latina actress while missing the bigger problem of how Snow White's story portrays the Seven Dwarfs. The actor didn't seem to feel that Disney deserves to get credit for being progressive with Ziegler's casting if the characters of the Seven Dwarfs are still being portrayed the same way. Here's his quote: "I was a little taken aback when they were very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White. Again, to me, it is what it is. This is sort of the world we live in now. You can get big mad about it, but this is from the other side of things about getting big mad about not enough diversity. You're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Take a step back and look at what you're doing here. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, and you're still making that effing backwoods story about seven dwarves living in a cave together. What the F are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough." So Peter Dinklage was upset about Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and Disney took that to heart. As the article goes on to say, this is just the latest of the Disney movies to get the live action treatment. We saw that with the live action Little Mermaid that came out recently, that there was some controversy again about the race swapping of Ariel in the Little Mermaid. Again, a big deal to some, not such a big deal to me. I just choose to go and watch what I want to watch. It's not that critical to my life. I can understand how it's critical to someone's memories, and it's part of their childhood, part of their upbringing, part of who they are. I get all that. I just choose to watch the animated Little Mermaid. That's the one that I grew up with. That's the one I like. That's the one I learned how to start to draw a little bit in junior high school, and I made a pretty mean Sebastian back in the day. It was a lot of fun, like trying to copy those characters. That's what I remember. It doesn't matter to me if there's a person of color that is acting in a role that normally they wouldn't be in. That doesn't bother me. If I want to go see the film, I'll go see the film. If not, I won't. But I think a lot of people voted with their wallets on The Little Mermaid. I think, again, it may not have done as well at the box office as they thought. And the same thing with Indiana Jones. You saw that, another Disney product that they've kind of run into the ground a little bit. That's hemorrhaging money right now. And again, Indiana Jones and, the battle to not break your hip. And again, that's another show where the main character, and Disney's been famous for this thus far, another main character from our childhoods, and meaning my generation, where they become old, they become bitter, and they become replaced by a female heroine character. We saw that with Luke Skywalker and, moving aside for Rey. We saw that with Indiana Jones now, moving aside to Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm not going to pass judgment on it. But we're seeing this recurring theme here. And we're seeing with Marvel now, we're seeing a lot of the main characters that we saw are now gone. Iron Man has passed on, Captain America has passed on, and we're being replaced with women main characters and people of color. And this is the way of the world now. But it seems like Disney and Hollywood largely is not getting the message that people don't like seeing their lives messed with. Yes, some people have attachments to fictional characters, and it's not because they see themselves in them, it's because they've lived with these characters for a long time. And now all of a sudden, as you saw in that opening clip with Rachel Ziegler, you now have to be educated as to how to think properly. That's what I think is the main problem here. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. People are being told that they have to rethink how they see things. And if they don't, they're racist. They're bad. They're not woke enough. They don't understand representation. How dare they? That's the main problem here. Aren't they trying a little too hard to shoehorn inclusiveness? And, I mean, really? Is this what we're going for here? I understand they're fictional characters. I understand that we want to be more inclusive in our representation. But is nothing sacred anymore? I know many people who grew up with all these beloved characters, and nobody cared what race they were. Nobody cared what color they were. They cared about the story. And the story here is that there's a main character whose skin is as white as snow. Her hair is as black as ebony. She's a princess of noble birth that was forced into servitude by her jealous and evil stepmother. So, we that's what's important, the story. I don't understand why we're going out of our way here to completely revolutionize and then shame people for not getting along with the program. Again, the idea from Rachel Ziegler's video, you have to educate us because we have wrongthink. It's a recurring theme on the show. Have you noticed that? There's this idea of wrongthink and culture warrior mentality, a lot of which I talk about in my book. You knew it was coming, guys. Schnooks, Crooks, Lies, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons, available now on Amazon, at Barnes & Nobles, and other online bookstores. The idea of the culture warrior is the celebrities weighing into politics and imposing a new worldview on everyone. Like we said, politics is downstream from culture. No, I don't think that this is such a big deal. But what is a big deal is that people are tired of Hollywood lecturing them on what is good, right, and moral when the people in Hollywood aren't exactly good, right, and moral themselves. They're trying to force issues onto people instead of letting people come to those natural conclusions on their own, like reasonable adults would. Peter Dinklage is right to want to say that, dwarves and this idea from the past is passe. It's a bygone era, absolutely. But you can't swing the pendulum the other way and expect people to have a palate for it. That's the main problem here. People don't like being lectured to. If you explain to them what you want to do, then maybe they'll work out a little better. But in actuality, folks, what happens is you end up with kerfuffles like this, where Disney actually ended up saying that these weren't photos, the photos that we were talking about. This photo here, Disney denied that this was from Snow White initially to the Daily Mail. And now they're saying, the Daily Beast reported how conservatives were upset, and the Disney spokesperson told them the photos were fake. Disney says it was seeking a correction and disputed the authenticity of the photos. But then they ended up saying, well, first they said the photos are fake and not from our production. Then they ended up saying that the photos were verified from their production, but they weren't official photos. That's the problem here. It's this wavering and the shakiness and the back and the forth. And people know that it's all a game. It has really nothing to do with changing people's attitudes. It has to do with virtue signaling. It has to do with, like, going back to what Rachel Ziegler said in the first video that was played at the beginning of this. You have to be re-educated. It's about they are more virtuous than you. You are wrong, and therefore you have to change, not them. They get to keep pushing their agenda. And if you push back, you're the racist, you're the bad person, you're backward, you're not living with the times. So, folks, I'm going to end the video right here. Thanks so much for listening. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know what you think about these photos. Is Rachel Ziegler going to be a good Snow White for you, even though she has more of an olive complexion? She's a person of color. Is that the problem for you? Are you good with your new 7 companions? Let me know what you think. Like the video, please share, comment, subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to know everything that you think. I love talking to you guys in the comments. Interact. Leave a comment. Definitely, let's get a conversation going here about what you feel about this. I want to know what you guys think as we continue to look at political buffoonery and other shenanigans happening this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.